Welcome back to another podcast from awesomeseminars.com. If you like our podcast, please press the subscribe button. The streets of Jenin and Tulkarem have become battlegrounds, but not in the way we've come to expect in the West Bank. Instead of the usual Israeli-Palestinian confrontations, we're witnessing an unprecedented surge of internal Palestinian violence. The Palestinian Authority's security forces are engaged in intense street battles with local militant groups, marking what could be a crucial turning point in Palestinian politics. In recent weeks, the situation has escalated dramatically, with firefights erupting in broad daylight and tensions reaching a boiling point. The Palestinian Authority, which has traditionally maintained a delicate balance of power in these areas, is now actively confronting armed militias who challenge their authority. These clashes, particularly intense in the refugee camps of Jenin and the streets of Tulkarem, represent the most serious internal Palestinian conflict we've seen in the West Bank in years. The roots of this internal conflict trace back to the Oslo Accords of the 1990s, which established the Palestinian Authority as the governing body in parts of the West Bank. Over the years, the PA's grip on power has steadily eroded, particularly in areas like Jenin and Tulkarem, where local militant groups have gained significant influence and popular support. The current wave of violence reflects a fundamental power struggle between the aging PA leadership, led by Mahmoud Abbas, and a new generation of militants who view the authority as disconnected from the Palestinian street and overly compliant with Israeli security demands. These younger militants, often operating in small independent groups, have effectively created autonomous zones within refugee camps and urban neighborhoods, directly challenging the PA's sovereignty. The militant groups have capitalized on widespread frustration with the PA's governance, corruption allegations, and perceived failure to advance Palestinian national aspirations. They've successfully portrayed themselves as authentic resistance fighters, while painting the PA's security forces as mere enforcers of an unsustainable status quo. This narrative has resonated particularly strongly with younger Palestinians who have grown up seeing little progress towards statehood under the PA's leadership. The immediate trigger for the current street battles appears to be the PA's attempt to reassert control over these areas, following pressure from both Israeli and international stakeholders. However, the authorities' heavy-handed approach has backfired in many ways, further alienating local populations and strengthening support for the militant groups. The situation is particularly volatile because many of these militants have family ties within the PA security forces themselves, creating divided loyalties and complicating efforts to restore order. Iran's strategic involvement in Palestinian affairs has become increasingly apparent as tensions escalate in the West Bank. Through a complex network of proxies and direct support channels, Tehran has established itself as a significant player in the ongoing power struggle between the Palestinian Authority and local militant groups. The Islamic Republic's primary strategy involves providing financial and military support to various Palestinian factions, particularly those opposed to the PA's leadership. This support extends beyond merely supplying weapons and funding, encompassing training, tactical guidance, and political backing. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps has been particularly active in cultivating relationships with newer militant groups, offering them sophisticated weapons and combat training through their Lebanese proxy, Hezbollah. Iran's interest in Palestinian internal politics serves multiple strategic objectives. By supporting militant groups that challenge the PA's authority, Tehran undermines Western-aligned Palestinian leadership while simultaneously creating pressure points against Israel. This approach allows Iran to maintain influence in the Palestinian territories without direct involvement, creating what security experts call a Northern Front strategy that connects through Lebanon and Syria to the West Bank. The recent street battles in Jenin and Tulkarem bear hallmarks of Iranian influence, with militant groups displaying tactics and weapon systems similar to those used by other Iranian-backed forces in the region. These groups often operate with greater sophistication and coordination than traditional local resistance movements, suggesting external support and training. For Iran, a destabilized West Bank serves as a valuable pressure point in its broader regional strategy. By fueling internal Palestinian conflicts, Tehran can effectively challenge both Israeli security interests and moderate Arab states' attempts at regional normalization. The potential for civil unrest in the Palestinian territories also provides Iran with leverage in broader geopolitical negotiations, particularly regarding its nuclear program and regional influence. However, Iran's involvement comes with significant risks for Palestinian society. The deepening divisions between the PA and Iranian-backed militants threaten to fragment Palestinian unity further, potentially undermining long-term aspirations for statehood and self-determination. This creates a complex dynamic where Iran's support for militant groups, while strengthening resistance capabilities, may ultimately contribute to the weakening of Palestinian institutional structures and governance. The potential outbreak of civil unrest in the West Bank poses significant challenges for Jordan, a country that has long maintained a delicate balance in its relationship with Palestinian politics. With its substantial Palestinian population and shared border with the West Bank, Jordan faces immediate security and social implications from any deterioration in Palestinian stability. Of particular concern is the potential for a refugee crisis. Jordan, already hosting millions of Palestinian refugees from previous conflicts, could face a new wave of displacement if civil unrest escalates. The country's infrastructure and social services, already strained by existing refugee populations and economic challenges, would struggle to accommodate additional refugees from the West Bank. The security dimensions extend beyond refugee concerns. Jordan's border with the West Bank requires careful monitoring to prevent the spillover of militant activities. Any breakdown in Palestinian Authority control could create security vacuums that militant groups might exploit, potentially threatening Jordan's internal stability. The Jordanian government has already increased security measures along its western border in response to rising tensions. For Jordan's King Abdullah II, maintaining stability requires a difficult balancing act. While supporting Palestinian aspirations for statehood, Jordan must also protect its own national interests and security. The prospect of a failed Palestinian Authority could empower radical elements that might challenge Jordan's own political stability, particularly given the kingdom's significant Palestinian origin population. Regional stability is equally at risk. A Palestinian civil war could trigger wider regional tensions, potentially drawing in other Middle Eastern powers and disrupting recent normalization efforts between Arab states and Israel. Jordan's role as a moderate voice in regional politics could be compromised if it becomes preoccupied with managing the immediate security threats on its border. The economic implications for Jordan are also substantial. Trade routes through the West Bank could be disrupted, affecting Jordan's already fragile economy. Additionally, any perception of regional instability could impact foreign investment and tourism, two crucial sectors for Jordan's economic well-being. As tensions continue to simmer in the West Bank, the prospect of a full-scale Palestinian civil war remains a concerning possibility, though not an inevitability. The current trajectory suggests three potential scenarios that could unfold in the coming months. The most optimistic outcome would see the Palestinian Authority successfully reasserting control over militant strongholds while implementing reforms to address underlying grievances. This would require significant diplomatic finesse and potentially painful compromises from all parties involved, but could strengthen Palestinian institutions in the long term. A more likely scenario is the continuation of the current low-intensity conflict, with periodic eruptions of violence in specific areas like Jenin and Tulkarem. While falling short of full-scale civil war, this scenario would further erode the Palestinian Authority's legitimacy and complicate any future peace negotiations. The most dangerous possibility is an escalation into open civil war, which would have devastating consequences for Palestinian unity and the broader peace process. Such a conflict would likely fragment Palestinian society, weakening their position in any future negotiations and potentially leading to the collapse of the two-state solution framework. What seems clear is that the current status quo is unsustainable. The Palestinian leadership faces a critical choice between reform and possible collapse, while regional powers must decide whether to help stabilize the situation or pursue their own interests through proxy conflicts. The outcome will not only determine the future of Palestinian governance, but will significantly impact the broader trajectory of Middle East peace efforts.